You're listening to The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath on WCPT 820.
All right, everybody. Jonathan Jackson represents the people of Illinois' 1st Congressional District. In a time of, rising bellicosity from our president, he sits on the Foreign Affairs Committee. Out of government, he's the national spokesman for the Rainbow Push Coalition. Jonathan and I are friends, and we go way back. And I have never seen him walk away from a fight for justice. And I know what it's like to fight beside him. Stuff gets done. That's what we need right now. Jonathan, welcome.
Welcome. Great to hear your voice, Edwin. Keep up the great work, my friend.
I am so glad we're talking, and particularly at this moment. Now, we're recording it before the weekend. Saturday is, of course, No King's Day. Do you expect a big turnout?
Oh, absolutely. I will be in attendance, and I look forward to encouraging everyone to come out. And I think people are just fed up. They're sick of the level of bestiality, hostility that this administration is giving, snatching women and children off of street corners, putting zip ties, kicking in citizens' doors. This has gone far beyond looking for felons that the president has said he was looking for that were here unlawfully. Now citizens are getting ensnarled and wrapped up in this. Innocent people, our children should not have to smell tear gas in the United States of America.
Yeah, it's appalling what he's doing and what he's doing all over our city. But there's some of this activities in your district, too.
Absolutely. Well, what we saw was in Robin Kelly's district on 75th and South Shore when the military helicopters came in. And let people be clear, these are the same military helicopters that are used in Afghanistan and war-torn areas that the United States has been involved in military conflicts. When the president came before the United States military leadership and told them, and by the way, he used the military as a backdrop or prop, he and Secretary Hegseth, whom I've asked for to resign just out of honor and duty to his country, he kicked in the doors and used the military equipment on United States citizens. It's against the law. It's the 1878 Posse Comitatus Act. You're not supposed to put U.S. soldiers on American soil to fight its own citizens. So now there's a battle, or the lines have been blurred between what is the civilian society, what is the military society. And to see children that were zip-tied, people that were separated on race, 36 or 37 people were detained or had their doors kicked in. And I think there was one arrest for a person that had a previous record. It was all a charade. It was messaging he was sending out to the rest of the country. And he's gone by with his ICE raids, picking up people randomly in the 1st District, in the 7th District, and districts throughout the state.
Yeah. I mean, Jonathan, what the lawlessness and the recklessness and the provocations from ICE in Chicago are disgusting. The people of Chicago, though, in every neighborhood have rallied peaceably, have held them to account, have documented their atrocities here. And I am hopeful that the rest of the country will see what's going on here, and this will be that phony emperor's Waterloo.
I hope so. I went by the building on 75th and South Shore.
Yeah.
And besides not seeing any children around, and the children now with a level of fear, it was an 80-degree day when I went over there last, about 2 days subsequent to the raid. And the beach before, which is across the street, had a beach, 700-800 people out on the beach. The following day, 2 days later, when it was 80 degrees, there were fewer than 8 people out on the beach. So fear is setting in. And one gentleman came up to me. He says, "Congressman, I couldn't talk the other day. My PTSD was triggered." He said, "This was Desert Storm to me all over again. The boom, bomb, grenade, bombs, tear gas, and the helicopters. I'm just now able to talk." And my heart went out for that soldier. Of course, there are 22 soldiers a day that are dying by way of suicide. They're triggering soldiers on our own soil. So I'm praying for the National Guardsmen, praying for our soldiers, of course, the families, mothers and children. But it's becoming increasingly more dangerous because there are trained former service members that can be traumatized seeing this level of militarization in their city and in their neighborhood while their doors get kicked in.
Yeah, and we have a lawless president, and you have a Justice Department that refuses to hold them to account. That's completely complicit.
And of course things could have been done different. The Pam Bondi and others should never have been sworn in. The Democrats could have brought that fight on early. This is really the execution, the full manifestation of Project 2025. They're following that doctrine to the letter of the law, all the way up to the Voting Rights Act being challenged.
So let's talk about that. I mean, this Supreme Court says, hey, it's okay to racially profile if you're ICE. If you think somebody looks foreign, it's okay to detain them. And now they're saying, oh, but we're beyond racism in America. That doesn't exist. So let's get rid of the Voting Rights Act.
Oh, Edwin, this is going in such a wrong direction so fast. The United States Supreme Court and the Project 2025 and Trump administration are trying to build upon what was wrongly decided in Students for Fair Admissions in 2023, I believe, in June. And that simply says you cannot have racial consideration for the nation's oldest private university, Harvard, founded 1636, and the nation's oldest public university, University of North Carolina, founded 1789. But also in that brief were amicus briefs from the United States military, the military academies for Air Force, Marines, Naval, Air Force. They said they need diversity. They need affirmative action. Colin Powell was an affirmative action candidate because it helps with troop cohesion. When you have a composite nation of many people that come from many parts of the world, many regions of the society, you have to bring them all together. And you do that by showing their commonality, showing their struggles, showing what they have in common, not what they have in difference. This Secretary of Defense that he wants to unilaterally call the Secretary of War, which it's not, that's the purview and the power of the Congress, is creating division. He's the most divisive person I think I've ever seen in public office. Fast forward to the Voting Rights Act, when they say you cannot have racial consideration in the drawing of these state maps. That has to deal with whose voices are included versus whose are excluded. It's just not about a line on a map. It's about whose voice can be represented. I served the 1st District of the state of Illinois. There have been fewer than 150 African Americans to ever have a voting card out of 12,500 and almost 60 representatives in American history since 1789. Fewer than 150. If this Voting Rights Act is wrongly decided, the maps that are shown that where the Republicans have a supermajority in the Deep South, in Louisiana, in Alabama, in Georgia, in North Carolina, in Florida, you're talking about potentially 19 African-American districts being wiped out, being removed. This will have generational conflicts and doesn't start with the congressional maps. That's just for federal legislators. Then they'll start suing at the state level. That has to do with state senators, state reps, county officials, automatic. It's a C title wave that's going to knock out generations that we would have to fight to get back. The Voting Rights Act has only been implemented for 60 years. I'm 59 years old. The first generation of African Americans that was born with equal rights.
Yeah, they want to take it away, Jonathan. They want this to. Are you still there? I think I may have lost you.
I'm here. Okay.
Yeah, they want to make it look like 1960. They want every representative to be look just like them. The old Jim Crow said people couldn't vote. They've learned some things. The new Jim Crow or Donald Crow, Trump Crow, is that people can vote, but their votes won't count because of the map making.
That's the whole story, and it's just that simple. It's not any more complicated. They want what they can't win in a free and fair election with voter registration, maximizing voter participation. They tried to take it not to the ballot box. They try to take it to the machine count, to the gerrymandered lines. They want to do everything but maximize full representation. And this is the echo. This is the holler. This is the whisper of make it great again, which should beg the question in everyone's mind: when was it better than it is today?
Right. Answer 2 years ago. But, uh, you know, so look.
I don't think that's what they mean. I think
No,
they
it's
mean
not what
50
they mean.
years ago, 100 years ago.
It wasn't better. I mean, what we need to do, I think, look, they're trying to wipe out any power that anybody who isn't white has to get elected. But at the same time, they're trying to wipe out any of the power that working men and women, no matter what they look like, have in this country with their giveaways and their grift. And we have to form this coalition, and you have done this. You understand this, of working people, no matter what they look like, together to save this. And it's the same fight, the fight for civil rights and the fight for workers. I think that's the rainbow in the Rainbow Coalition.
And it's economic justice. And I also serve on the House Foreign Affairs and the Ag Committee. And what's happening in the ag market really deserves to be broadcast in the urban market. If you look at the Illinois Farm Bureau, they have reach across the state, except for in the city of Chicago. More people would care about the farming community in the city if they knew about it. They need to structurally change that so we have access to the Farm Bureau channel. When we see what the president has done in a disastrous trade policy with his big, beautiful bill and his tariffs that he says on April 2nd of 2025 will create a day of liberation. But what did he do? He put up trade restrictions of our products going into China, essentially because he outpriced us from going into China. China can now buy soybeans cheaper from Brazil, which is further away to get to China than the United States. He could buy
Argentina,
soybeans
which
from
he's bailing
Argentina to the tune of the first $20 billion. They're going to need another $20 billion. That's going to be $40 billion, and he's going to have to come with a first check of almost $50 billion to help stop the bankruptcy of U.S. farmers. He is killing our domestic farm industry. These are the people. Farmers should be a part of our coalition. When I first got on the Ag Committee, someone asked me, Mr. Jackson, you're in the city of Chicago. Why do you want to be on the Ag Committee? And I looked at them and I said, everybody eats. Like, what do you mean? Why do I want to be on the farm?
Yeah.
So we've got to make sure that we bring farmers into the coalition.
Yeah. So, Jonathan, on this show, before you came on, I interviewed Rita Hart, who's the chair of the Iowa Democrats, and we had similar conversation. It's harvest time, right? And these farmers are working hard. They are spending long hours to bring in the crops. They're bringing them in, and they don't know where they're going to sell them, because these guys are closing their markets. And by the way, if they get sick, their hospitals are closing too because of what they're doing with healthcare. So they absolutely belong in this coalition with us.
And let's agree that the president, and I know you said it, let's make it real slow. The president shut the farmers out of the Chinese market.
Absolutely.
The Chinese have not retaliated. The president put up these tariffs that make it cheaper for the Chinese to buy in other parts of the world. If I could take 2 steps back on that day of April 2nd, when he said this is going to be a liberation, what did he do? He told 95.5% of the world, trade with yourself, because America is only 4.5% of the world's population. He told 82% of the world economy, trade amongst yourself, because we're only 18% of the world's population. Everybody knows that tariff list was AI generated and made no sense. And people don't necessarily have the time, because they actually have work to do and a life to live, to deal with this level of distraction. But that was all packed into that problem that we're living with now. So the world is trading amongst themselves and without us. And at the same time, we give Argentina $20 billion without any congressional approval, just because those are Bessett's friends that had hedge funds in there. At the same time, now we've got the Argentinians dropped their tariffs with China and then sold their soybeans after we gave them a bailout, and our farmers are stuck with their own product.
Yeah, and I think the bailout's probably illegal, but again, that we don't have a Justice Department to stop it. Same thing with the paying the military when there's no budget for it. He's taking money from something else, which he really is not allowed to do. And I'm sure if Mike Johnson would ask you guys to go back to work as opposed to keeping you from work, you guys would vote to pay the military. That's not controversial. But instead, he's going to try and steal money that isn't his to steal in order to do it.
It won't stop, and the long-term damage that he's already done is going to take us just to unwind. People are looking at America as a real.
Congressman, you got to walk closer to the phone or something. I'm having trouble hearing you again.
Now people are going to end up that we're going to have to repair the damage that he's done from all these trade ships. Our allies moved on to people that are more reliable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them either. Okay, what can we do about the Speaker of the House, who seems determined to pay you guys not to work? I know the Democrats are ready to work.
I have been with the other employees. I am not accepting any pay until all of our employees can be paid. I think it's a responsible thing that you should do. And I also respect those that can't do it. They have to accept their check. But we all have to be in this together. And you can also see some structural flaws. We've been asked to, as a shutdown, and this makes no sense to me, ask our employees that they say are non-essential. Everybody in my office is essential in dealing with field work for constituents. And just the other day, I tried to log in someone's report, a veteran that needed help. And on the veterans website, it says Democrats have the government locked down, and they're also telling us not to send in any more inquiries to help with our veterans. I saw that same thing with the State Department website. So people that have visa issues, they're not being able to get service as well. And so this isn't like starting a car, putting the key in the ignition. When people cannot get paid, they have to find other work to do. They'll take that skill and they will move on. And you'll have less talent coming back because you have to reproduce it, create it over time. So they're intentionally strangling the economy.
Yeah, it makes. I mean, the America is so much worse off in just the 8-9 months this man's been in office, and between the tariffs and the government shutdown, he inherited the greatest economy the world's ever known. He's shredding it. He inherited a country that had made enormous progress in healthcare, in education, in civil and human rights, and he's shredding it. I mean, I can't think of one area where this administration has made the world better. He certainly didn't bring peace on day one and around the world. And when you go back there, you're going to sit on a committee.
Made the nation
meaner. I mean, and you I can't wait for you to get to the bottom of why he's blowing up these boats in the Caribbean.
Well, and there was on the latest boat that was attacked with is against our laws, and he's also doing some covert operation with the CIA, they've said, regarding going into Venezuela if he's trying to topple governments now. It's a disaster. So from Caracas, Venezuela to the city of Chicago, I think the number is almost 2,000 plus miles. It's certainly under 3,000. People have to understand this is a contiguous landmass. You can walk from Caracas, Venezuela to Chicago. You can bicycle. You can drive. It's a contiguous landmass. And when the United States has tried to give the Venezuelan economy three Great Depressions in the last 20 years, so there's a reason 7 million people have had to flee Venezuela. We need to normalize ties in our region, and people would not come here. People don't leave their home with a shirt on their back with children's that don't speak the language without any money because they want to. They've had to leave, and that's what will only further increase migration in our region.
Yeah, and we've shown that we are just so incredibly incapable of dealing with immigration and migration. We send our guns to these countries, we destroy their economies, and then we say to the people who live there, that's on you, buddy. Don't come talking to us. It's just cruel and
You know,
stupid. And there are better ways
you
of
know,
doing this.
think about what happened with Mexico, for example, and I'll tell you another story after this one. Is there is one gun shop in the country of Mexico, and it's owned by the Mexican government, and it services their military.
Hmm.
There are 3,500 gun shops on the Mexican-U.S. borders where U.S. manufacturers sell guns into the cartels into Mexico. The other story I wanted to share with you. So the gun problem in Mexico and the gangs in Mexico are a function of the guns being sold from the Americans over there. I was leaving Washington Reagan Airport yesterday, and when I stopped by the little gift shop stand, and I started seeing all these hats. I've seen them, but now they continue to proliferate. They used to just to be a symbol, United States of America and the president's cap. Now they're selling Trump 47 hats. They're selling NSA hats. They're selling ICE hats as if that's something fashionable and cool to have an ICE hat on. They're selling Charlie Kirk freedom paraphernalia as if the things that Charlie Kirk said were like honorable. It's setting a bad tone.
Oh, you're much more polite than I am. This is they're way past setting a bad tone. They are driving this country into the worst possible place. In fact, they do not want to share a country with you and me, Jonathan, and I don't know how we repair that. I mean, they lost a civil war trying to separate, but now they're really saying we have power. We do not want to share a country with you. You either become like us or
Yes.
find some other place, and that's not okay. That's not how a great nation behaves.
And hate at the end loses. It consumes itself. And you're beginning to see that when you see these pictures online of zip tying people. You see a man walking through a street with a Nazi uniform
Hmm.
on.
Hmm.
You're seeing people, a senator talking about this as my country. You're talking about the great replacement theory, all the fear. And so we can expect this to devolve some more. But
Well,
I'm excited because
did you see what those
tomorrow
young
is a No
Republicans
Kings
did?
rally
Hang on, before we get to no
on the
kings,
hate group chat.
the hate group chat of the young Republicans, and JD
Uh,
Vance is saying, "Oh well, we can forgive them. They're just young people, right?" But like JD Vance is the
well,
first person. Yeah, go ahead.
can we agree that they're not young people? Some of those persons are 40 years old.
I'm sorry, I'm just
Some
so
of those
old. Everybody
persons,
seems young. Yeah, but they should know better. They're old
exactly.
enough to know better.
Well, these are congressional staffers.
Yeah,
These are really grown people. This isn't on a college campus at 18, 19, 20 years old.
right.
These are people that are in the workforce and that work for members of Congress that still have their jobs.
Yeah, yeah. So they shouldn't have their jobs. I mean, look, when Mike Johnson says about, or anybody of those Republicans say about this nice love fest that's going to be no kings, where people are out there and they love America and they're positive about it, and it's a great big diverse, looks like America, honors America crowd. When they say, "Oh, you are haters, you are," pulling people down, we just like point them to their own group chats, right? I mean, you want to see
How about
haters,
that?
right there. Look at your own group chats, not the ones that are
You
giving away
know,
military secrets, the other ones.
The other one, right. And
Yeah,
J.D. Vance, you remember he might have gotten in the Senate maybe at 36, 30, 37.
right. Yeah,
He became a vice president at like 38 or 39.
yeah.
He's 41. These people are 40 years of age that are spewing this hate out, and he wants to reduce them to like children. No, these are hateful people that should be denounced. He said, I don't want to ruin their life and ruin their career. There were students that were having protests that they went down with the full weight of the government and want to put them on lists. I mean, these are people that are working in the government that are really grown, not on a college campus.
No, full grown, and they just hate. They hate other Americans. They celebrate. I mean, they were celebrating Hitler. They're celebrating racists. They just are appallingly terrible. I don't know how to say it. They're just terrible people, and they're being. I mean, Jonathan, this is the first time in my life there's nobody in the highest levels of the federal government of our administration, of the administration of the United States government, that you and I can respect. Not one we can look up to or admire. That's never happened.
You know, we were in the Foreign Affairs Committee, and I was talking. Had my 5 minutes to question Secretary Rubio, and on his attack specifically on
Yep.
diversity, equity, and inclusion, because the programs that went for career service professionals for Hispanics, blacks, minorities, women's, all those programs have been eliminated. So basically just targeting white men through the Fulbright, but the Rangel and the Payne scholarships and others that were trying to be more inclusive to reflect our population and the nations, the countries. And so I asked Secretary Rubio after I read these quotes, I said, Secretary Rubio, this quote, pro-diversity, equity, and inclusion was from you as Senator Rubio.
Yeah.
Now, as Secretary Rubio, you are against it. I said, I hope to see more of Senator Rubio and his spirit and less of Secretary Rubio that's being divisive. I thank you and I yield back.
That's good. That's very good. I don't think you will see more of it, but it's very good. I mean, look, the other thing that they claim to, I've worked in the federal government, you know this, and I've worked in environments in the private sector that are very diverse and some that were less diverse. And the ones that were more diverse were higher performing. That, you know what, when you cast a wider net, you get more talent. These programs aren't about bringing down any standards, they're about lifting standards. And its evidence is 30 years long. We just know that this is not about putting incompetent people to work. It's about finding the most competent people wherever they are. Maddening.
Can you imagine this here, that when you think of the gains that have been made with just in the female population, from Sandra Day O'Connor all the way up until today with Ketanji Brown Jackson, in the history of America, just say from the history of the United States Congress, 1789, there have been 116 justices, which is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
There have only been 6 women.
Yeah.
There's been 3 blacks.
Yep.
In the entire history. So all the laws that we live off of have been crafted by others. And we say diversity. It was amazing to see in the Supreme Court hearing the other day, the women that were arguing the cases, they were actually making the stronger arguments on why we needed this level. And I just have to write off Justice Clarence Thomas. What an abysmal choice. He has everything wrong with people that smear diversity, equity, inclusion. He was put up there as a farce and a joke, and he's been nothing but mean-spirited. And the person that's benefited the most from these programs is the most hateful towards him. He really is a problem and a liability for the nation.
Yeah, I hope that you get a chance to fix the Supreme Court when we win everything back, but they're going to make it hard. So look, we're running out of time. Congressman, it is great to talk to you. It's great, as always, to talk to you. It's great to talk to you in public like this and have a chance for everybody to hear, where you are on these issues and how hard you're fighting for them. I am, as I said at the beginning, I've never known you not to fight for justice, to walk away from any of those fights. And when you're in them, you get stuff done. So I'm just delighted you're there.
Glad to be on your team, brother Edwin. You keep up the great fight, and look forward to being back with you soon. Dad says hello, man.
Oh, give him my best. Give him my best. Thank
I
you.
certainly will.
Oh,
Okay.
take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.